I want to ask about, we're talking about changes, and I want to ask about the change. Was there a change when film and television production in Vancouver started to go through the roof? I mean, in the 70s, I mean, maybe the Grey Fox or whatever was shot in BC. But by the time we get to into the 90s and into the 2000s, there's an enormous amount of film and TV being produced here. And a lot of the actors and directors and designers who, like Toronto and the rest of Canada, who used to work just in the theater are now working in TV and then coming back to the theater. Have you noticed a change in the community as the film and TV monster
Oh yeah,
industry?
of course it changed. I mean, in the 70s, you know, the actors, skilled actors like Janet and Susan Wright and whoever left Vancouver. Michael J. Fox left Vancouver. He went to L.A., became, of course, a star. So people left Vancouver. Brent Carver left. Pat Rose left. They all left Vancouver. So we were dependent on young actors coming out of Studio 58, and the few actors that obviously didn't leave. We had young actors playing old parts in the late 70s. The good thing about the film and television industry is the actors then stayed. So they didn't leave. And whereas in the 70s, we couldn't hire an actor over the age of 40. We couldn't find anybody. There was no acting community. There was radio, CBC radio, but otherwise there were very few actors of a senior generation to play the older parts on stage. Once film and television started, the actors didn't move. In fact, actors were moving here. And that made a big difference in the acting pool. And even though, yes, it would take actors away that you might want, but they were replaced by other actors waiting for their TV gig. And so while they were waiting, they did stage. And also in that wonderful sort of December, January, February, when they weren't filming, all the actors wanted to be on stage, wanted to have work. So during January, February, up to March, until pilot season in LA, we had our choice of actors. So actually, in the end, it's been, I think, really, it's positive because it helps to create, and technicians. Right. Work for technicians, and we would often have technicians that we would train, and then they would go on to move. But it really meant that the community became larger. So in that way, it was it's a positive. Yeah.
I have a number of friends from Toronto who moved out here. The Hogans, Tom Butler.
Yeah.
My wife and I thought of moving out here, and we looked at, we're having kids, and we looked at the pollution in Toronto, and so we were either going to Vancouver or we were going to Halifax.